off, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because Donald Trump gave a very solid speech yesterday. Now, I want to be clear that it wasn't a perfect convention speech, alright? It wasn't. But overall, I would say it was pretty damn good. Now, before we even talk about the Trump speech, I want to talk about the other speeches that happened right before him because I would say these actually were very good. Now, there are three main ones. Hulk Hogan, of all people, Dana White, and Eric Trump. Hulk Hogan, I have no clue how he got on the stage. I really believe that he just said, yeah, I'm going to speak for Trump. But I don't think anyone understood what he was going to do. They should have, because it's Hulk Hogan, but the dude made the crowd go wild. And that's Hulk Hogan for you. He's someone that's going to hype up a crowd. Like, he was ripping off his shirt. He was saying some great stuff. Like, the dude was entertaining. He was great. He got the crowd going. So I would say Hulk Hogan, he had a perfect speech. It fired up the crowd. And frankly, he's never really talked about politics before. And yes, he isn't as, famous as he was like 20 or 30 years ago. But he's still a big name. There's a lot of people that know who Hulk Hogan is. So I do think his endorsement, it's not going to change the election, but I do think it actually does give a Trump some kind of, bump or something. I'm not saying it's going to be a big one, but the fact that Hulk Hogan, of all people, was at the RNC and he gave that speech, just kind of crazy to me. But as for the other two, Dana White actually introduced Trump, and he did pretty good. It wasn't anything special, but he introduced him. He just said, I was supposed to be on vacation, but Trump asked me to speak, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to speak for him, to introduce him. But I would say the best overall speech, outside of Hulk Hogan, you could argue that's the best one, but I would say the most impactful one was Eric Trump's speech. Listen, I criticized Don Jr. for having an awful speech, because it was. It was generic, it was BoomerCon stuff, it wasn't good. But Eric Trump gave one of the most emotional speeches of the convention. He talked about the fact that, hey, they were watching on TV Trump getting shot. And they thought the worst. They thought he was dead. And he got emotional. But he actually talked like an actual person, not just a robot reading off a script. He was actually talking like a normal person, an actual human. And people got emotional. It's like, yeah, that's his dad that nearly died. But those are the three main ones before Trump. There are other ones, but those are the three ones that people give a crap about. As for the Trump speech, I gotta say that this is a different man. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. This is someone that's different. This is someone that he went through a lot. He did. He just got shot at just 6 days ago? Yeah, he nearly died. But ignoring what he said, you could look in his eyes, it's like, this is someone that's changed. This is someone that realized, oh wait, I just nearly died. I shouldn't be here. Because if he didn't turn his head on that fateful day, well, he would probably be dead right now. Which is just crazy to think, but that's the reality of it. Now, there is one main criticism I gotta say about the speech right off the bat. I think it was too long, and most people would agree. But that's not gonna hurt him. If your main criticism is it was too long of a speech, that means he had a very solid speech overall. It just means, okay, you're complaining about the length. But I really believe that this was kind of the point. To make it a longer speech, make it a little bit more boring, I guess you could call it. I wouldn't call it boring, it just dragged on at times, but I think that was the point. Because this is a changed man. This is someone that should have died just like a week ago. But thankfully he didn't. But let's talk about the speech itself. He started off talking about the assassination attempt. I have listened to like 9 years worth of Trump speeches, rallies, all of that. I have never seen Trump get like that. You can tell he was holding back emotions. Like he was about to cry on stage. Like you could tell that, yeah, this is someone that really understands what just happened, what should have happened. But thankfully it didn't. And you could tell that he was about to cry on the stage. Trump's never like that. You know, Trump's one of those people that would never do that. But after what happened last Saturday, it changed him. But I would say the most emotional part of the speech came when he talked about Corey Comprador, which was right off the bat. For those that still don't know, this is the guy that died during Trump's speech. You know, last Saturday, he's the one that got shot protecting his daughters. Which, by the way, that's a real man. That's someone that saved his daughters. He took a literal bullet for his daughters. That's a real man, and people should strive to be like him. But sadly, he didn't make it. He died. And Trump gave him a tribute. And you could tell this is not the Trump of a week ago. They had Corey's firefighter gear on stage with them. And he went over to the gear and he kissed the helmet. When he did that, during the stream yesterday, I kind of got emotional. Most of the chat did. Like, I was kind of almost about to cry. Because it's like, Trump has never done this. This is not someone that, you know, this is not the Trump of a year ago, not even a week ago. This is someone that really understands what happened. He nearly died. He probably should have died. I don't like to talk like that, but let's face it. If he didn't turn his head, he was dead. But after that, that's when the actual speech began. I would say this part of the speech, it was weak, right? The middle part. The beginning was like S+. It was perfect. It was possibly the strongest Trump moment, not just of this cycle, but possibly ever. And everyone agrees with that. Even the panels on CNN, the voter panels, those quote-unquote undecided voters, that's what they said was the strongest part of the speech. It was the very beginning. The middle part, I would say, is my only critique. I think it went on for too long. If it was cut short by even just 10 minutes, I really believe it would have been better received. I think it's still a fairly well-received speech, except for Democrats. Democrats are going to say, it was a terrible speech and all of that, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I would say the middle part of the speech, which was the actual, you know, generic Trump rally talking points, it was a little bit weaker. Was it the worst thing ever? No, but what I think made it a little bit more quote-unquote boring was the tone of Trump. This is not Trump that at an average rally. It's not. This is someone that he toned it down. He was talking a little bit softer. He wasn't, you know, bombastic. Like he gets off script all the time, but that was not Trump. I'm just saying that right off the bat. It wasn't him. But after the middle portion, he got to the end of the speech and he started to pick it up a little bit more. It was a solid ending. Now, will this change the election? I don't think so. I think worst case scenario for Trump, it changes nothing. Because, yes, some people are criticizing it for being boring, but if that's your main critique of the speech, that's not going to make people think, oh, I'm not going to vote for Trump because he was boring. You could argue that might actually help him. Because for, 10 years now, we have been told the orange man's bombastic, he's crazy, you know, all that stuff. But everyone saw someone different today, or yesterday, I should say. This is a different person. This is not someone that's bombastic, you know, that's crazy. This is someone that nearly died. Hell, CNN had a voter panel just 5 minutes after the speech ended of undecided voters. And the vast majority of them gave Trump a positive grade. Yeah, these are voters in Waukesha County. You know, it's a Republican-leaning area, but it's not the most Republican part of the country. It's not. It's Republican, but not, you know, R plus 90. And these are actual undecided voters. These are white suburban voters, mostly. And the vast majority of them said Trump had a good speech. Now, as for who they decided to support, 4 of them said, you know what? I'm backing Trump now. while none of them said, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna back Biden now. Yeah, these are undecided voters. Does this mean everything? No, things could change. You could argue maybe these were people that were leaning towards Trump at the start, but that solidified their support, which you could argue is still a good thing. But either way, Trump had, I think, a positive speech overall. Because the undecided voters, that's what they said. They said it was a good speech from CNN. CNN always has a more liberal voter panel. That's just a fact, because it's CNN. But when they even admit that, oh yeah, the vast majority of our own panel said that Trump had a positive night. It was a good speech. That's something. That's something that's not just, oh, on Fox News. If it was on Fox News, that's one thing, but this is CNN. And this is post-speech, and they said, yeah, the speech was too long, but they loved the beginning. That's what they said. So, at the end of the day, I don't think this changes much. I'm not saying that this is going to hand Trump the presidency. He's a favorite right now, obviously, but if people really thought that this was going to change the election to solidify Trump's victory, I mean, I guess that was possible, but if you really think this is going to cost Trump the election, you're nuts. The only critique has been it was too long of a speech, which I would say that's a stupid argument because look at Biden. He can speak for 5 minutes. He speaks for 5 minutes and leave. So you're telling me your critique is he speaks for too long, which is fine. That's a legitimate issue, but you have no problem with Biden speaking for 5 minutes and leaving? And he can't even get through that? And I really think this was one of the biggest parts of why they decided to have a very long speech. They wanted to show to the American people, despite getting shot, like just a week ago, despite probably being on a bunch of medicine, God knows how much he's on right now, he was able to speak for an hour and a half. He was actually speaking. And it was coherent. It wasn't just Biden saying, the entire time. You can actually understand what he's saying. And I think that was the main point. Like, okay, Biden can speak for 5 minutes. So we're going to make this as long as possible and make people realize, hey, wait, my critique is he spoke for too long, but at least he spoke. At least he was able to get through 2 sentences without, falling apart. Biden, on the other hand, I guarantee you his convention speeches will be like 5 minutes long. I guarantee you. That's what's going to happen if he's the nominee. We just got to see what happens in the polling, but I would say overall, it was a good night for Republicans. It's not going to give Trump, a 5-point boost. It might, I guess. But I do think this A solidified support for him. But B, show the American people that he did change. Don't let Democrats tell you otherwise. This is a changed man. And I talked to a bunch of people, and that's what they said. This is not the Trump they heard about for 10 years now. This is someone that's different. This is someone that's saw things. Obviously, he got shot at. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.